So you feel like you want to quit. Hi, I'm Amy, and I'm happy to be back here with you today. Quitting, a universal issue, a universal symptom, the desire to quit. I was recently at a conference and I was listening to someone who owns like 22 different companies. And he said, if I don't want to quit every single day, I'm probably not an entrepreneur. And I started thinking about the power of quitting, and I started thinking about the temptation to quit, how those subtleties try to get us to quit all the time. So if you're thinking right now, I'm about ready to hang it up, throw in the towel, and quit. I'm going to quit on my dream. I'm going to quit on a relationship. I'm going to quit on my business. I'm going to quit. I'm going to quit. I'm going to quit. I'm going to quit. I want to talk to you about what you're sacrificing in the quit. I was at a conference last week, and my real estate coach, who impacts hundreds of thousands of lives, who is really, really, really probably the most disciplined person I know, is so impactful. And I got up on stage and I said, hey, John, I just have one thing to say to you. And he said, what's that? And I said, thank you for not quitting. We would not be in this room if you had quit. And I want you to think about the lives that you've impacted, the people that wouldn't have the jobs if you would have quit, the people that wouldn't have the opportunities if you would have thrown in the towel, the family that wouldn't have what the family looks like today if you would have just said, oh, forget it. It's easier just to go on my own. Let's be separated. I want you to think about the impact of your power of saying no to the attitude of quit. Quit haunts you in the night. Quit is a voice in your head. Quit is an emotion. It's a feeling, and we've all been stung by it. When I was talking about John, who has impacted so many people, and I said, thank you for not giving up. Thank you for not quitting, because my life has changed because you didn't quit. He got emotional. And when he got to the stage, he said, hey guys, here's the thing. We were out in Tahoe, and he goes, 6 years ago, this same room had 7 people in it. And he goes, and I walked off the stage with 7 people in it. And he goes, I literally had spent tons and tons of money. I took every red eye all over the United States doing real estate masterminds with, 5, 10 agents, 5, 10 agents, 5, 5, 5. And he goes, and I did my flagship event in Tahoe, and I had 7 people show up. And he said, I walked literally out the door that day, and he looked at his, I think she was his assistant at the time, and he said, hey, I'm done. I'm no good at it. I'm absolutely done. And she's like, yeah, okay. And the next day, he is driving down the road and he gets a phone call from one of the 7 people sitting in there. And that person says to him, hey, can you come speak to my office? You guys, you are so awesome. Can you just come speak to my office? So he said, you know what? I'd love to. And so it began. He began to build and build and build. And today he's got probably 20 or 30 businesses. He's on stages with Tony Robbins and Dean Grazioso. He's making massive impact. But if he would have quit, where would we all be? If he would have stopped, how would that have impacted us? And so I'm extremely grateful. And that's such a reminder. I take so much hope in the fact that, oh, wow, he didn't quit, but he was on the brink of quitting. And what if he would have quit? There are so many businesses, so many songs, so many restaurants, so many recipes, so many books that are sitting over in the cemetery, in the grave, because people quit. And the generations miss out, and the family misses out, and the community miss out, and things that should have been aren't, because someone just said, I quit. If that's you today, I'm speaking to you. Do not quit on your dream. Do not quit. Don't quit. No matter what you do, I don't care if you just have to put a pinky forward. Like, put one foot forward. Do one thing every day that is in the direction of your dream. When I thought about where John was talking about how he bought red-eye plane tickets to events across the country, he did that, and I thought, it's so interesting. He pretty much slept on planes all night long. I mean, if you've ever taken a red-eye, you know they're not fun. Slept on planes, did his thing during the day, and hopped on another flight to sleep on another plane to go do his thing. And he did that all across the country. And I thought, what kind of thoughts did he have to overcome? Because overnight success always looks like overnight success when it might be 20 or 30 years in the making. It might be 10 years in the making. It's never overnight. But this is the common theme. I was so relieved to find this out because I've had times where I've wanted to quit. I mean, I've had weeks where every other day I thought I wanted to quit. I've had seasons where the thought to quit, the thought to be done with something was so strong that I almost pulled the trigger on it. And then the only thing that would pull me back was, what about the impact? What would my future self think of myself if I quit? And I know that there are times when we need to quit and we need to walk away from something that's not working and it just needs to go. But so many times we throw in the towel way too quick. We throw in the towel on the verge of a breakthrough. It's just on the other side. But the pressure gets so great on the verge of your breakthrough. Here's the thing. It sounds so sexy. Hey, I'm going to write a book. And then you sell 500 copies and you spent a year working on it. Oh, well, what was that about? Oh, hey, you launched a podcast and every week, and your listeners, they rotate all over. Sometimes you have several downloads and sometimes you don't. Sometimes you have a lot of downloads and a lot of feedback, and sometimes it's crickets. There's moments all the time, and if we're doing anything that has significant impact, that we're going to have the whispers of, you should just quit. What's the point? But you have to do this. You have to think about who needs to hear your voice, who needs you not to quit, who needs you to be the voice of hope, who needs you to be the one that shows them, hey, don't quit. This is what can happen if you don't quit. I met with a real estate agent because I'm obviously in the real estate business and I do some coaching. And I met with a real estate agent the other day. He's like, man, I'm kind of on the verge of just wanting to just pull the plug and quit. And I go, really? And he goes, yeah. And I go, oh, I've thought that a lot. He goes, you have? I think you're like the most motivated, excited, driven person I've ever met. I go, everybody, that's a lie that everyone thinks. Everybody has multiple times a week. If you're an entrepreneur that you don't think, I should just hang it up and do something easier, right? Growing things and managing people and being involved in people's lives and growing people. I don't manage people. My goal is to always grow people, not manage them, grow them, right? I want to grow them. I want to grow them past what the limits that they see of themselves. I want to push them beyond what they think they can do to where they can really go. That's what drives me, right? Like, let's see growth in another human being. That's the needle mover in my world. So, but you can't be in that kind of the human resource business, so to speak, and not have times where you're weary or think, man, I just got punched in the gut, or I just got rejected, or I just lost an opportunity. And I think it's so comforting when we know that, hey, failure is not separate from success. Failure is part of success. I'm going to say that again. Failure is not separate from success. Failure is part of success. Where failure starts and success starts, you can hardly tell. You can hardly tell. I mean, if you're looking at your hands and you're putting your fingers together, you can hardly tell where one starts and the other stops. Because failure is a part of success. You just have to learn to fail quickly and pop back up. You're going to fail. You're going to fail. You can fail weekly, multiple times a week. You just have to keep popping back up. An agent stopped by the other day and said, Amy, you've been able to do a lot in this business. And I'm like, yeah. They said, what do you think that your secret is? And I said, it's called the pop back factor. When I fail, I get back up. When I get knocked down, I get back up. That is the key to everything in life. When you get handed disappointment, when you get a blow financially, you get a blow health-wise, when you get a blow relationally, like you just get knocked off your horse, so to speak, your responsiveness and your ability to get back up and try again, to put your foot in the water, to step out there again, maybe to date again, maybe to apply for a job, maybe to start to write that book again, maybe to go back and say, no, I'm going to stay the course. I'm going to do the podcast and I'm going to be consistent. Like whatever it is, think about the power of your pop back factor and think about the impact that you have on other people's lives by not quitting. I was looking at a group of people the other day, and I thought to myself, the only reason that we're standing in this spot is because I was at a crossroads that I was like, do I leave the area? Do I not leave the area? Do I just quit? Should I just get out of here? And I made a decision after I had suffered, some setbacks and some failures, because failure is not separate from success. It's part of it. I'm going to say that over and over and over again. Failure is not separate from success. It's part of it. And if you can learn from it, and if you can grow from it, and if you can adopt an attitude that this is working for me, man, you win. You win. So here's how I propel myself to not quit. Because you have to be able to talk to yourself. You've got to be able to speak to yourself. You've got to be able to encourage yourself. Because your voice is the only one you actually listen to. So you've got to speak to yourself. But you have to get a vision. When you want to quit, think about the person on the other side that needs to hear from you. Think about the family member that needs you not to quit. Think about the child that needs you to stay in the game. Think about the other person and the people's lives that are impacted if you quit. When you think about that, it'll compel you to get back up again. It'll get you out of bed when you don't want to get out of bed. It will push you forward when you're just ready to draw it in and just make it right? It will compel you to move forward, but your vision has to be bigger than you. And here's what I found in so many different areas of my life. When I got to a spot where I was just desperate for change, I was desperate for something to happen because I was hanging on by a thread. Who can identify with that? Maybe you're hanging on by a thread emotionally in your workspace. Maybe you're hanging on by a thread in your marriage. Maybe you're hanging on by a thread in a relationship. Or physically, you're just exhausted. If that's you, I want you to do this. Close your eyes. I want you to visualize. If you stick to it, if you stay in the game, if you give it your all, if you really play, if you go all in and you really play at the level you need to play in a relationship, in your work, in your marriages, like if you really go all in, think about the consequences. Think about the people on the other side that are positively impacted. It's significant, isn't it? There's lots of people that are impacted by us. The ripple effect of our individual lives is significant. The ripple effect of your life is significant. I walked into Starbucks the other morning and I was like, I could tell that the people sitting in there, I could tell the atmosphere didn't feel supercharged. And that's not typical. Like typically it's cheery and it's great and all that. But I just felt like, it feels a little somber in here today. So I walked in there and the first thing I'm like, hey, hi guys. Boy, I'm thankful you came to work. Wow, you look amazing. You're awesome. Thanks for always knowing what my drink order is. You guys are so great. I went down the row to every person I had involvement with. And then I started complimenting the people sitting there drinking coffee in the shop. And I realized I could feel people's energy shifting. So you don't know what your one compliment, your one smile, your one word can do to save another human being, to have them not quit. I got a thank you note in the mail today. And it said, Amy, I've been taking you on walks with me. And your podcast has been shifting my perspective and giving me, I've been taking you on a walk with me and I've been appreciating your podcast or something like that. And I feel like I'm getting to know you and, just keep doing what you're doing. I appreciate you. And I got that note and I thought, I need to reach out to that woman. She doesn't know what the power of that note did for me. It was like the frosting on the cake for my day. I opened that up and I said, oh, thank God. It's making a difference. It's making a difference to somebody. Guys, the power of our words to lift someone, you have no idea of someone who's on the verge of quitting, that your one word to them can change everything. Your one note to them, your one text to them, your one video to them can change their entire world. Because if people are really honest, they're on the verge of quitting a lot of things. They're over it, they're tired, they're done. So how do you re-engage and how do you re-energize them? Give them hope. Cheer them on. Give them a good positive word. But as a person that's a self-starter, How do we re-engage when we want to quit? How do we get out of bed when we don't want to and want to quit? This is where commitment and discipline trumps emotion. Commitment and discipline override emotional responses. So every time I think I want to quit, I think about whose lives will be impacted by my quitting. And then I think to myself, and what will my future self think about myself? What will my future self think about me if I quit? And here's what I know. If you quit on yourself and you quit on your passions and you quit on your writing your book and you quit on your dreams, if you quit on those things, pretty much you go into a life that you just exist. You may not be in the grave, but you've pretty much quit living. You're just existing, because as human beings, we are built to grow. We're built to pour out into other people, to be givers. That is life. That is life to the human being. The human being is not meant to be isolated. It's not meant to be separated. It's not meant to be alienated, right? And quitting does all those things. Quitting is the easiest thing to do. It's the easiest. But you have to choose your heart, because you've got the heart of staying in the game, or you've got the heart of regret. You got the heart of the people's lives that are impacted by your quit. Choose your heart. Both are hard. It's hard to stay in the game and it's hard to quit. But I tell you, I promise you, and you know it too, if you're listening to this, your future self will thank you that you didn't quit when it got hard. You didn't quit. You're one of the 1%ers. Most people quit. Most people can't stay in the game long enough because mentally and emotionally they fold. But if you can pop back up and you can get back up and you can have hope for another day to keep going after and chasing your dreams, I promise you, your future self will thank you for not giving up, for not throwing in the towel. Boy, I hope that this had an impact on you today. If you're thinking about quitting, listen to it over and over and over. Don't quit. There's too many people counting on you. Don't throw the relationship away. There's too many people. The ripple effect is too great. Don't throw the book away because it's taken too long to write it. Don't quit the podcast because you don't see the effect of it as much as you thought you would. Everything in life, we start easy and then it gets difficult. It's easy to start everything when you have energy and enthusiasm. But the daily grind of consistency and discipline in anything. Honeymoon's great. Oh, now we have a lifetime to work it all out. New business opportunity, great. And now I've got all these years to figure out all the problems and deal with them. Oh, I'm excited about the book. And on chapter 3, I completely have brain fog and I don't even know what to say. Oh, I'm pumped to create the podcast. Oh, you had 50 people listen to it. Like literally everything is hard to stay in the game. You have to stay disciplined and encourage yourself and keep being consistent, but don't quit. Your future self, your future generations in this world will be so grateful and so thankful to you that you did not quit. Remember this, you are more. You're more.